Well, hello guys. Welcome to the Drunken Pickle. My name is Jordan. I'll be your guide on this little misadventure that we're going on today. What this show is going to be doing is I'll be showing you some basic canning and food preservation techniques. This week we're actually making sweet pickles with onions. Every episode will also have a theme. This week's theme is when you are in a pickle, when life hands you lemons and you don't know exactly how to deal with the situation. I'll be giving you some probably bad advice on how to deal with those situations. And also, we'll be drinking. Yay! Everybody loves drinking. So let's get started. Alright guys, first thing I want to talk about on this episode is recipes. I'm probably going to repeat this in future episodes because it's really important. Food preservation recipes are different from cooking recipes because usually food preservation recipes need to be followed pretty closely. This is because there are certain things in certain ingredients that are actually harmful to us or could ruin the finished product, such as botulism in certain types of beans, which is very deadly to humans, or molds or other stuff that you just really don't want to deal with. So make sure you have a good recipe. I will include some links in the description below on where you can find recipes. Usually they're from people who have been in the canning industry for a pretty long time, such as Ball on their freshpreserving.com website. You can actually find good recipes on food.com and places like that. Just make sure you're using tested recipes. This is really important. You don't want to mess with these too much because it will change the processing time. Even if you change some small ingredient, always use good produce.
Alright, so here's what we're going to be using today. We have my water bath canner, Trusty. You can find these online at Walmart if you need to. You can find them most places actually. They're really cheap and they're pretty good for anything. I'm not going to be using a pressure canner because those are a little bit more complicated. Just a water bath canner will do for pickles today. Next up is our pot. We're going to be cooking our spices and our vinegar in here. We also have a small pot that has our lids. I'm going to heat that water up just so those are nice and hot for sealing. Next up we have our ladle so we can get our vinegar solution into our jars. We also have our utensils such as our jar lifter, our lid lifter, and our bubble releaser / measuring instrument to get the correct headspace on our jars. Now we have some ingredients going on. This is pretty simple. We have our pickling cucumbers. These are not regular cucumbers. You need to get pickling cucumbers. I have about almost 4 pounds here. I also have some regular onions. I believe these are white onions that I got. We have some apple cider vinegar. This needs to be 5% acidity. You can't get anything below that because it's not going to properly process and kill all of the bacteria inside of the pickles. Next up we have canning salt. Now this is also important because you cannot use regular salt if you want a clear finished product. Regular salt has a caking agent and this does not. Next up we have some sugar, just regular white granulated sugar. And for our spices, let's see what we got. We have turmeric, celery seeds, mustard seed, and some black peppercorns, whole black peppercorns, not ground pepper. And of course we have our clean, sterilized new ball jars. We also have lids and rings for these. You saw the lids earlier. The rings are set off to the side right now.
Alright guys, so let's get started. The first step you want to do in any canning process is drink. And I have my Snoopy, my cute little Snoopy mug right here that I'm drinking out of today. Cute, it's boozy, it's delicious. Just drink a whole lot. I'm actually drinking rum and coke today because it's fucking delicious. Now the reason why we're drinking as the first step is because it's a scientific fact that you can't preserve food unless you are tipsy. Don't blame me, blame science. Now a lot of people consume alcohol to deal with tough situations. This is something I don't recommend, even though it's going to feel pretty good while you're drinking because you're not in your right mind. Alcohol is a depressant. It's going to get you even more down. That's not how you deal with situations like this. Alright guys, so the second step that we're going to do is actually getting our processing stuff ready. Now we do this second before we start dealing with our ingredients because it takes a really long time for the water to heat up because our water bath canner is pretty huge. Fill that with water. I'm actually going to cut in some video of me on my handy cam doing this stuff so you can actually see the process.
Handy cam. Oh yeah. at that water. So wet. So slow.
We're gonna get it on the stove, get it started.
Alright, so I got my water in my water bath canner, enough to cover the jars with 1 to 2 inches of water. Now I'm actually going to turn my eye on to high and just let this get started. It's going to take a really long time to heat up, and this is why we do this first.
Drink some more! Yeah. Alright, so after you got your water bath canner ready to go and the water is heating up, you need to work on your jars next. And that's really easy. All we need to do is turn our oven to the lowest setting and stick our jars straight on the racks. This is just going to keep our jars hot so that they don't crack in the processing with the difference in temperature.
Alright, so I have my oven preheating. I'm just grabbing my jars. Make sure they are clean and inspected. And just throw them in the oven. Oh, pretty easy stuff. I think anybody could do this.
Just think of putting those jars in the oven as sterilizing your life of bad influences. Usually people have a lot of, I don't know, bad friends who put them in weird situations. This is stuff you can actually control. Just distance yourself from the bad situation and you'll find that your life will dramatically improve. I was gonna say that you could just stick the bad influence in an oven like the jars, but you'll go to jail. So if you do that, just don't tell the cops you watched this video. Alright, so the next step is actually dealing with our ingredients. I'm going to switch to the handy cam again just so you can get up close and personal with my cucumber.
Alrighty, so what we're doing now is just slicing off the ends of our cucumbers. These have already been cleaned, so they're good to go. I'd say 1/8 of an inch slices. Sorry, I'm really slow. I don't have good knife skills. Whatever. And I say, after every cucumber, just take a drink to reward yourself. Mmm, so good. And then just keep going. And the same thing we're doing with our onions. Just slicing them up. These, you're probably gonna want to do, I'd say 1/4 inch slices would be a lot better than 1/8 of an inch slices. Yeah, I'd say 1/4 of an inch is great. Although I suck at measuring, so who knows how this is going to turn out. And once you're finished, drink some more. So good. I'm plopping all of this into a bowl off to the side here.
I told myself I wasn't going to cry, and now I'm crying.
Alright, so everything's in the bowl now, looking good. And we're just going to cover this with ice. Yeah! And yes, I still use an ice tray, don't judge me. And I'm going to need more ice. But anyways, we're going to cover this with more ice and get that in the refrigerator and let it cool for 1 to 2 hours. This is really important to get nice crisp pickles. Now that I've got this covered with more ice, I need to tell you to also add in salt. I did this, but you didn't see it. It's going to be 1/3 of a cup of salt, and that's the pickling and canning salt that you put in here. Mix it up with the vegetables and then put the ice on. Now let this chill for 1 to 2 hours.
Now think of putting your vegetables in the refrigerator as relaxing in a situation. Usually bad stuff isn't the end of the world and you don't need to worry that much about it. Little things happen all the time to everybody actually, so just chill out, just relax and cool down from this situation and give it some time. Drink. Oh, it burns so good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is work on our spices and the vinegar mixture. And that's actually awful because it's going to stink up the whole house. So if you need to open some windows, get a gas mask, it's pretty bad. Just prepare yourself. Just like you'll have to prepare yourself for life. Bad stuff happens. So just know that everything's not going to be perfect all the time and you're going to have bad stuff come your way. But also remember that good stuff is on its way as well, and it's going to balance itself out eventually. So just know that's on the horizon and you'll get through this.
Yeah. Oh, baby. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. 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 Yes. Mmm. 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 Woo. Oh. That wasn't very much at all.
Alrighty, so our vinegar mixture is boiling and almost ready to go. So we're going to rinse real quick our vegetables and get those in the jars.
Alright, we're going to go pretty fast here because everything needs to be nice and hot. I'm just grabbing with my jar grabber the hot jars out of the oven. Close this back up. And then I am going to take our pickles and onions, which have been rinsed, and just pack them into the jar real quick. Alrighty, and as you can see, I have them nice and tight in there, but leaving a little bit of headspace. We're going to use a 1/4 inch headspace for these pickles. Alright, and we're just going to ladle our hot vinegar solution right over these pickles. When you get close to the top, you're going to want to stop and slowly add solution a little bit at a time. And you want to get pretty close to the top, and then grab your bubble releaser / measuring tool, and this first notch is going to be a 1/4 inch, which is the headspace we want to use for these. So I'm actually going to put the other end of the bubble releaser inside against the walls and kind of push around and get bubbles out of there, because bubbles will not allow this to process properly. Just kind of push everything back down in there and keep adding liquid until you get to that 1/4 inch headspace. Alrighty, now that you have that 1/4 inch headspace, you're going to want to wet a paper towel and just wipe around the rim of the jar. If there's any solution on here, it will not seal properly with the lid. Make sure that's nice and clean. Then use your lid lifter and lift. Try to lift one lid. Got it. Out of here. Remember, these are in hot water, so everything's the same temperature. Just plop that right on top of your jar, and then take your ring and get it fingertip tight. Alright, once the lid and ring are on fingertip tight, you're going to use your jar lifter. Lift it straight up and onto the rack in our water bath canner, which hopefully won't move around too much. Alright, now that's in. I'm going to do the rest of these jars and hopefully we'll get this processing. Alright, as you can see, we have all 6 pint jars in our water bath canner. Now I'm just going to lower this basket down, and we have a processing time at my elevation of 15 minutes.
Alright, while everything's processing, I just wanted to go over a segment where we review all of the bad advice I've given you during this episode. Now we're dealing this week with you're in a pickle. Life gets tough. People have bad situations. People get in ruts, and I've been in ruts pretty much since my teenage years. It's life. you know, but there are things you can do to deal with these situations. And the first thing is, get rid of the bad influence in your life. Bad boyfriends, bad friends, bad haircuts. These are things you can control. Just push those negative influences out of your life. And relax. Know that life gets better. It's tough right now, but it's not always going to be that way. Make sure you're prepared to deal with those situations, because everybody has to. When the time comes, put some good things back into your life. Spice it up. Add a new hobby, add a new friend, add a new environment, move if you have to. You know, all of these things make your life better. It just happens over time. The thing is, you don't have to be in a pickle if you don't want to be. It's your choice. This week, I'd like to hear of a time when you were in a bad situation or you were in a rut and how you got yourself out of that. How you changed your environment, you know, added good stuff, took out bad stuff, you know, if you meditated, whatever it took to get out of that situation. Getting objective views on your own life really helps. That's why people go to psychiatrists and stuff like that. Why not help each other? And then drink some more. Oh, I know I do, because my life is a mess. Alright, so we're almost finished here. The pickles are actually still processing, but the lighting has gotten so bad that I have to cut this video short until we come back tomorrow for the reveal. The rest of the process I'm going to go over with you real quick. What you're going to do is once they finish the 15-minute processing time, or whatever processing time for your elevation, you cut your eye off and let them sit for 5 minutes. Don't bother them. After that 5 minutes is up, you want to take your lid off and point it away from you, because there's a lot of steam coming off the hot water that was in there, and lift the jars straight up. Don't tilt them. That's actually not going to let them seal properly. You lift them straight up and transfer them to a towel you have set off to the side, somewhere where you have space on the counter, and cover them and let them sit for 12 hours or more. 12 hours is enough time to let them cool completely and let the seals work properly. You want to come back after 1 or 2 hours and check the seal and make sure that it's sealed correctly. You can check the seal by pressing down on the top. If it doesn't push down, the seal is working. If it does push down, you need to reprocess the jar. Well, good morning, guys. We are here with the reveal of our sweet pickles with onions, and I'm going to switch to my handy cam real quick so you can see that.
Alright guys, are you ready for this? Yeah, nice. I think they look really good. And those are our sweet pickles with onions. How about that? And I already checked them before, but just to let you know, they all sealed. Perfect.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. I have plenty more recipes if you guys would like to see them. Feel free to follow me on social media. Links will also be in the description down below, as well as everything I used in this episode. Bye! My dogs are being crazy. It's just for funsies. Oh god, it's so good. It's all gone. It's really good. It's fucking good.